Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. Engineers, you are welcome to my lecture 2 of week 2, which will be talking about technical communications rendered by Dr. Amir Shaheen. As you can see the title of this lecture, this week we are going to talk about technical communication. I'm going to introduce to you the concept of technical communications, whereas in the previous week we we did speak about the processes of communication. So I hope that you still remember uh, the last lecture and you have no queries regarding that. And inshallah, now we are moving onwards with our next lecture that is going to talk about technical communication. Before we move onwards with our slides, I would love to talk to you about the technical communication, the word technical. You can see that most of the times when we speak, we are we get unconscious. So we what we need is that what we require is to have a mindfulness always. These theoretical concepts that we are talking in the series of lectures that we have started from the last week, they are actually meant to imbibe in you, being students of communication skills, to understand that what are the ideas and concepts that we need to know beforehand before we speak, so that we are not going to commit those mistakes that are usually part of any communication process. In the previous lecture we talked about the communication process, that how sender, encoder and the message and all those things are important for us. So today we are going to talk about uh, technical communication, that how technical people communicate, right? So we'll start with what is technical communication. Technical communication is the process of transmitting facts and information to a defined audience for a specific purpose. In other words, it is writing for understanding. So, what is necessary is the outcome of understanding, that our audience shall be able to understand, no matter what is the level of that material, the level of complexity of that material, it shall be conveyed. Every person has different filters, every person mental filters, every person has the different understanding capability. So we have to keep in mind, as we talked in our previous lecture while we were talking about the processes of communication, that we have to understand the context of our communication. Because if you are in any gathering or you are in any group, that group and the knowledge about that group is more important while communicating. But knowing the context of the communication and the groups that we are going to speak to, it is also important for us to know our subject matter that we need to convey to the others, that we need to convey to the listeners. Therefore, uh, understanding is the most important thing in communication regarding the technical people. All the people, those who are communicating with each other, may not be technical, may not be having that technical knowledge about that subject we are talking about. So, understanding the group that we are addressing ourselves to, or understanding the context of the group in which we are talking, uh, vis-a-vis our technical communication, vis-a-vis the concepts, complex concepts that we need to impart to our audience, it is very important. So, technical communication is the process of transmitting. Transmitting is only possible when you know the other party, and you know that what subject matter you are going to discuss and what is its difficulty level. And that difficulty level, according to the level of the listener, must be tuned. It must be tuned to that level of understanding where you believe that your audience actually exists. So it is very important for us to first of all understand that what is our subject matter, whether this subject matter is difficult or easy, or if it is difficult, then how we can bring in the level of ease into that, keeping in mind our audience. So these are the very important things for us to know before we speak, before we communicate, before we write up So, technical communication is the process of transmitting facts and information to a defined audience for a specific purpose. In other words, it is writing for understanding. Okay, next slide is we are going to have a bit of more explanation to that concepts that we have already introduced. Technical writers, that like you people are engineers, or if you are doctors, or if you are in any employment, atmosphere, you have to have speak according to the SOPs determined by your organization or your office. So you have a role of a technical writer in that capacity, or you have a role of a technical speaker in that capacity. So technical writers present information in science, electronics, or other technical areas. Various technical areas can be involved on a professional level, because the outcome is more important. It's not important to speak, it is important to speak correctly. It is important to speak diligently. It is important to speak those materials which are meaningful, which have their effect on the audience, backed up by data facts. That is, there are no fabrications involved in that. They have to be completely based on facts, so that information is complete and accurate. If the information is not complete and not accurate, then the outcome will not be you know desired one. An employee who can produce focused, clear documents often have a competitive edge over others who are less skilled with written communication. You will face this problem in your practical life. Right now, you being students may not have that level of focus. You may not be required to have that level, that focus which is required at working places. But when you will be in working space, you will be at some organization, you will be assigned duties. Then being employees, you're being focused, you're being able to create clear documents, technically correct, data oriented, information based documents. You will know that it is going to give you a competitive edge over other workers around you. Therefore, a guarantee for you to progress in your career as well. So, employee who can produce focused, clear documents often have a competitive edge over others who are less skilled with written communication. Uh, as far as written communication is concerned, you can understand with the help of this slide what I mean by that. But when you are speaking, if you are focused and you know what to speak, it is always our choice to pick up what we have to, material we have to start our discussion with, what things we have to speak first, and then determine the level of language level of ease for your audience, so that your message is not lost. So the skill which is most oftenly required is that of choosing language that is very important for us. Therefore, I repeat the sentence: employee who can produce focused, clear documents often have a competitive edge over others who are less skilled with communication, with written or spoken communication, in both regarding both things. Next slide, we move towards the history of technical communication. Just to give you an idea, ancient civilization drew pictographs on cave walls to describe how they hunted and where they journeyed. Today, we use wide variety of equipment and computer software to make our writing research efficient. Example, we use graphics, multimedia presentations, software, and others to process information into usable forms. Now, communication is not just the word of mouth or just the word which we convey through our written on paper. There are different means now to produce communication. Like here you can see that the words emboldened in in pink color, computer software. There are so many technical things which have hit the market and we can rely on as usable means of communicating, and like MS Word. MS Word is a software in which we can utilize various kind of fonts, various kinds of font styles and font sizes and colors to accentuate our written material or our typed material. So it is not a matter of only longhand now. Previously, we used to have longhand written things with hands. Now we type them, and writing has become more efficient and more research oriented. There are different, with the help of graphics, with the help of multimedia presentations, we can make our presentations, our talks more effective, more clear. And even now we have softwares which can, edit our talks. That is the unnecessary material can be avoided if we want to. So we, being technical communicators, either way, whether it is a word of mouth or whether it is a word of pen, that is typed one, we can utilize upon these uh, new techniques, new softwares, new materials that are used now. So you see, ancient world had so many problems in communicating that they had to, there were, even you can imagine that before the invention of paper, or before the paper was, made, or it was created, or the printing press, how difficult it might have been for those people to communicate. And if the human civilization started from, say, Neanderthals, then they might have started communicating towards each other with the help of sounds, and then those sounds might have, combined themselves into words, and those words became, phrases. And then, so humans have covered a lot of time in discovering the way of communication, and now we are living in a world in which we have a lot of techniques, a lot of tools available for communicating effectively, and to use those tools is very important for us. Now, in the next slides, we are going to talk about the factors involved in technical communication. And by now, uh, uh, keeping in mind the discussion that we had till now, you can understand that what things we are going to talk about. Uh, in the next slide, here you can see that technical writers must consider before beginning any type of technical communication. What are the things that are must for them to consider? Are, number one, audience, purpose, format, and style. These are the four major things that we need to know before we start communication. Audience, the first thing, as I started my lecture, I was talking about the context of the group that we are going to address to, or the people that we are going to speak to, or a single person we are going to speak to. We have to understand that who is our audience, what are their needs, what is their level of understanding, because everybody does not exist on a, you know everybody exists on his own personal scale of understanding, because everybody has his own mental capabilities. They have their own mental filters. Some people you will come across, they will be equally technical about the subject matter that you are going to discuss about. They will be quite good at that. And some people you will come across, they might not be knowing about that subject, and you need to introduce that subject to them. So therefore you are going to have more difficulty in reaching out to them. And some of the times that there are mere simpletons in front of you, and you have to convey their matter, the matter, to them, and you have to speak to them in a very easy manner, so that they have no doubts regarding the subject matter that you are going to talk to them. These are very important things. So audience, first and the foremost thing is the audience. We need to recognize them. The audience could consist of managers, co-workers, customers, and clients, the general public, or any combination. So you see that we have a large variety of people with whom we can come into communication, and they all are different people, and they all have their different mental capabilities. They all have their level of understanding. So like managers. If you are working, you being engineers, or you being the doctors, or you being the lawyers, or you being working in any organization, say, you will be coming across those people who will be above you, or who will be very much known to that atmosphere of organization, and the language used within that organization. So it will not be difficult for you to share your audience with them, to share your ideas with them. Your co-workers will always be on the same scale. They will not be putting you to difficulty. They will also be understanding what you are going to say. Customers and clients at places, a customer comes and say, for example, I go to a computer shop, and I'm a layman, I'm a client, I'm a customer, I need to replace some things in my laptop, and I have went to so I also belong to general public. I'm a person who doesn't know about computers much, just he can use it. So when I'll see that person who is selling computers, or who is dealing with laptops, or who is working with the working in some workshop regarding the technical software issues of laptops, this person, I'm going to tell him that this is my problem. I will be telling him that I cannot deal with some certain um, some certain task. And then if he will start talking like an engineer of software engineering, so I may miss everything. I may not understand a single thing coming from him. So what will happen? The end result will be that I'll not be convinced by that person, and I will leave him, and I'll go to some other shop, and I'll go talk to some other worker who will be able to communicate to me in more proper way, in more easier terms, and give me the confidence that he has the capability to understand me, and he has the capability to relieve me of my worry regarding my laptop, and he can fix the problems that I have faced lately. So you see, these people, managers, co-workers, customers, clients, or the general public, they all, or any combination like that, they all demand from a competent person to understand him first, and then accommodate his language according to the need. So these people will have different levels of understanding and different information needs that require specific formats and styles of communication, right? This is very important for us to know our audience. The next important thing for our communication, if it is technical one, is to understand the purpose of our talk. The purpose of a technical document could be to inform, explain, describe, or record your action. These are different functions these are the different purposes of a technical document that it performs. At times it informs, at times it explains, at times it describes or records the actions that a technical communicator has taken. So you see, if it is an information, this information can be, if it is a case of managers, or it is a case of, say, organization heads. So it is, as I was using the word, if you remember in my previous week lecture, um, you know, vertical communication. If it is a vertical communication, that is, it is going from the subordinate to the head, and it is a piece of information that so and so situation has arise, has come to fore in the department or in some organization, and we need to have the clear cut advice from the director, or from the manager, or whosoever it is that is to respond. So this information is going from below to upwards, and this has to it will take another kind of language. And sometimes, if this letter is going to be on, say, horizontal level, and from one department to other department of the same organization, so the letter or the information that is going to be given to that other department will be explanatory as well. It will be informing as well as explaining. Or even if it is a piece of answer to a query from an outside department, and not horizontal, this is a customer who has actually sent you for the invoice of some certain, say, device that he or she wants to purchase from your firm or your organization. then you need to inform as well as explain, and you need to describe the items that that person has asked you to deliver to their place, or they need some service. Then you need to inform them and explain and describe those things, all that. So you see, the purpose of a technical document can be to just only to inform at times, or it may be to explain, or it may be to describe. So you need to know beforehand that what purpose your document, or even if it is a gathering, or and it is a presentation regarding some service that your organization is going to provide to any, you know, a service seeker, and you have been assigned the duty of giving a presentation on that from your organization. Then you need to understand that what kind of people you are going to talk to, and what language you are going to choose, whether it is just be information, or it is going to be an explanation, or it is going to be a detailed description of the actions that you might be taking later on. Format. Another important thing to know while communicating technically is to know the format. Technical communication can be written in the following formats. They can be reports or documents such as personals, lab reports, product specification, or quality tests, quality test results, or they can be records keeping forms such as service reports, travel and experience and expense forms, or troubleshooting logs, or those can be just instructions such as user guides, online help and training manuals. You can see that there are different formats used for different kind of information. Those are, if if it is just a list of the personals working in some place, then it will be just mere names in that list, and you will be using a caption sentence for that. Or these are lab reports, like pathology, most of the times, like Chotai lab, or like say Aga Khan, Shaukat Khanam laboratory. You might have come across in your own lives various test reports, lab reports, and they have a particular language. But once again, here the most of the times problems occur because say uh, I am a person who, I'm a teacher, right? And my mother has a situation that is she has some, you know, some injury on head, and then we had a checkup, we had an MRI, or say we had a CT scan, and after that the CT scan report was given to us. Now that report is given to us is not for us actually, that is for the doctor to whom we have to bring that, right? But what happens most of the times, what happens is that that report is only meant for the doctor. It is ununderstandable for the patient. I, being the son of a mother whose mother has a head injury, will be looking at that report and will not be able to ascertain a single fact from that report. So what will happen? The result is that I am confused. I do not know what is wrong with my mother until and unless I bring that report to my doctor, and that my mother's doctor, whose patient she is, and he reads that report and he analyzes that report, because that report is in technical language, completely technical language, and I, being the being the patient's uh, son, am still worried until unless the doctor gives me this confidence that okay, the report says this, and there is no serious issue, and you go and rest. What happens in our culture most of the times is that those lab reports that we are given to us are not comprehensive. They do not take care of the patient's, you know, patient's friends and relatives, those who are more worried. It only caters to the need of the doctor. So what is needed? If you are my students and you were, say, doctors, I would be asking you in your if you were to write reports for such lab tests, that you should produce at the same time two versions of that report. One version to be for the doctor, and one version should be for the patient and his relatives and his carers, so that they also are able to understand that report somehow or the other at the very in the brink of the moment when they get that report. So you see, if these are the loopholes, these are the shortcomings that we often face. Like record keepings. These are service reports, travel and expense forms, or troubleshooting. These are highly, technical things, and they are part of the files in some offices with the clerical staff, and they. But I don't think so that you being engineers will be into that kind of record keeping. That will be in the files or things like that. And the other kind of communication, that is of instructions. You might have seen that um, there are instruction manuals, right? Suppose you go and get a car, and then you will have a manual with that, user guide with that. You have a microwave oven, you have a user guide for that. That user guide is written for the common person, and that common person must be able to understand that guide completely. So most of the times we have that guide with pictures, with graphics, and with information into it. And that is so easy and so understandable that any person who is going to use that is going to understand the information given in that user guide, and the instructions are very easy. Why? They are these things are designed like that, and you being engineers will be also in situations where your organization where you'll be working, you will be demanded uh, to contribute to those user guides of the products that your company has a patent over, or things like that. Correspondence such as letters, memos, and emails, these are the tools of communication that are used in different situations. And the presentations such as interviews and marketing calls or training seminars, these are all uh, these all things come into the technical communication uh, domain. And you being students of technical communication must understand these things so that you are able to utilize them in your lives when you come across it. Style. Writers or speakers base the style, language, organization, and layout of a document on audience, purpose, and format. So, till now we have talked about audience and purpose and format, and these things are very important to know for the writer or for the speaker, right? And they organize their language uh, into a particular shape for that. The document might need visible structure of headings and subheadings, or even chapters to identify the flow of information. The document might not need visible clues for structure, such as casual emails or memo focused on only one topic. So you see, these are the concepts that we need to know. That if we have, suppose I give you an example, that you are going to write an email, and in that email, the you know the you have not used various tools, that you have given the information in, say, continuous lines, and there are no breakages in that, and there are no, say, if it is a there is no use of italics, there is no use of colors, there is no use of salutations, headings. You just conveyed, or you just said that receive the attachment. Okay, the attachment. But you need to talk to that person to whom you are sending an email in a very proper manner. It should start with a salutation. It should tell about the task at hand, that what kind of attachment you are sending, and you should also tell in that email that what that attachment is and how it is going to be helpful for the people to open that attachment. These are very important things, and they are very helpful. The layout can consist of condensed paragraphs, so you cannot write everything in one paragraph. You have to, write, or you have to write your information into complete paragraphs that fill the pages of the document, or it can provide lots of white space with examples, charts, or graphics. So you see, you have to put everything in order. Otherwise it will be eye straining. If there is a paper in front of the reader, and that paper starts from the top to the low to below with with simple lines, there are no headings, there are no spaces, there are no graphical interventions into that, there are no charts, there are no illustrations, no bullets, point bullets, no numbering, nothing, just text. So you see, having 30 lines on one page of pure text will be boring. this kind of a layout will not be attracting your audience. Your audience, until unless it is a very smart one, it is a very trained audience, may not be able to find themselves at ease with that layout, which only carries say 34 30 lines, without any kind of headings, without any kind of spaces given in, without any kinds of illustrations or points bulleted. So you see, and it is not necessary that we have to put in whatever the document is, that we have to give that particular layout that I'm talking about, that by giving headings or leaving spaces or giving the graphic designs or giving the illustrations in that or putting the bullets. No, not at all. Like my subject, in which I I teach most of the times, that is English literature. In that subject, most oftenly we deal with criticism. That criticism is supposed to be, uh, you know it doesn't have all those things that I'm talking here, but you being but that is for a particular audience. That audience is adapt in language skills. They are able to understand the most verbose words, the most difficult concepts conveyed through only language. So, if I read a novel, it is blank. The page is simply having text, nothing else. In most of the novels, we do not have pictures until unless it is a graphic novel. But graphic novel is a different domain. So you see, every subject has its own requirements. You being students of sciences, or say applied sciences, or say engineering or medical, for such classes, the information is so technical and so weighty that it needs to have with itself, the other helpful materials, like it should be communicated through charts, it shall be communicated through graphics, through illustrations, and the information should be numbered and bulleted. So it becomes easy for the for the readers to understand that completely, right? And the next slide, uh, preferences of technical readers. These types of visual aids allow for quick or scanned readings. Generally, people who read technical information prefer sentences that get straight to the point. They prefer words that are functional, exact, and clear, right? The words there should not be like, well, if it is a literary document, then here what we see is that there are words which repeat themselves, right? Say, his style is very clear and lucid. Here, clear and lucid are the same things, right? In literary kind of document, in literary kind of communication, we may be able to utilize upon such words, we may be able to use such words, but if it is technical communication, and it is between two engineers, then they do not need to repeat those words. They need to be they must say that the device is fully functional, full stop. Device device specifics are flan flan flan, full stop. So you see, you have to give the complete information and straight to the point. Do not have to use extra words for that. So functional words, exact words are used, and they are written in a very clear manner and uncluttered manner, that the layout should be very much clear as well. They prefer paragraphs that are short, with each paragraph focused on only one function, usage, instruction, etc. Right? We know that we have to. You might have learned from your teachers of previous classes that every paragraph has a paragraph sentence, a topic sentence to start with, and that topic sentence is further explored in that paragraph, which is completely focused on that topic sentence. So you see, we have to divide our document, if it is a written one, into paragraphs, whereas in spoken one we can utilize pauses. If we have talked about a particular concept, then we will have a pause, and we will move from one concept to the other one by have the linkage between the previous and the next concept. So in a written communication, we do this through paragraphing. We it is not a big deal, Most of the times we think that a paragraph should have a certain length. No, a paragraph must convey its message, and it should convey one message. If a paragraph has different messages in it, this will not be a true sense. This will not be able to. This kind of a paragraph will not be able to have an effect, and may even confuse the reader. So paragraphs are focused ones, and they function. They perform through only specific function. One paragraph will have a topic sentence. That topic sentence will be explored further in the subsequent lines, sentences, and those sentences will be focused on the topic sentence. This is how we proceed with paragraphing. Style guide. Most oftenly, when we are working at a place, we have some SOPs of that place of communication, that you will address to flan in this manner, you will address to your subordinate in a particular manner, you will address to your head in a particular manner. So there are guidelines given already. And when even when we join some service, some company, we are given rules to follow. That is, appointment letter most of the times given to us talks about particular rules to be followed by the person who is going to join that organization. So, and we need to be very much well versed in that. We need to be quite, we should keep being employees. We should keep reading those style guides given to us by our organization. A style guide is a reference book for writers. It offers guidelines on the finer points of word usage, punctuation, and mechanics for standard communication. If your company makes such recommendations, familiarize yourself with approved style and adjust your writing accordingly. Now, I can give you another example for that as well. In our university, we have, at a stage, a student is supposed to work on a thesis, and that thesis is completely in a technical manner, written in a technical manner, and it adheres to certain guidelines that are issued by the university. Every university has its own thesis style. Now, in our university, we have an APA style. We follow that, uh, you know, American Psychological Association style, which demands a particular way of write-up, right? So, but if you go to some other university and the students there might be using some other designs of, compiling their theses, and that may be MLA, right? That can be Chicago School. That can be some other way of approved style of uh, communicating or writing those documents in the form of theses. So when we join some organization as employees, there are some guidelines, there are some manuals prepared by those organizations. We need to look into them at once when we join that organization, so that we do not have any confusion regarding the understanding of the communication expectations that our organization may have from us, and we are to follow them. uh, Writing technical communication. What does the audience already know about the subject? This is very important for us to know. The first step in writing technical communication is to focus on the audience, as we have already talked about it. And here it is further explained that because of different mental level, knowledge, background, audience can be categorized into the following groups. They may be of three types: technical, semi-technical, non-technical, right? We have to understand that where our audience exists. Are we going to speak to, or are we going to write to a highly technical audience, or we are going to communicate with semi-technical audience, or we are going to talk to non-technical audience? And we have to change our mode of addressing, our mode of writing, our mode of speaking accordingly, right? If we are sitting in a, if we are to give a presentation to the engineers, we being engineers can use the heavy terminology utilized in technical, for technical subjects, and people in that presentation will be able to understand. But if this is a product, and we being engineers are going to launch that product, we have produced it, and and our company is going to launch it for marketing. So what will happen is that you will be getting into different vendors. They are semi-technical. These are the people who have shops, who keep those electronic things or mechanical things, or say devices of different types in their shops and they sell them. So they are, by virtue of their interaction with the device makers, they know about certain things, but they are semi-technical. They cannot completely be understanding, to all that information coming to them. So here you will be utilizing a different kind of language. And when um, you know uh, you will move to common people to to tell them about the product that you being engineers have made and you have launched it. Suppose it is a water car, it is a hydro, lately we had had different things, coming into coming into our knowledge, that there is a car which works with electricity, or there is a car which uses some other, energy. Um so how will you make it possible for a common man to understand what you have made, being engineers, and what is that? So you need to be very much well versed in the language, common language for common people. So you have to analyze the needs. Need analysis is the first and foremost thing that you do while communicate before communicating. Technical audience. Here we are going to have an example, what kind of a write-up we can produce in front of technical audience. A technical audience understands fundamental concepts and jargon without definitions or background information. The reader expects the writer to use technical language efficiently and appropriately. Here is a flavor for such a report, for a technical audience: the medical staff at an emergency room. In the next slide, we'll see. So, report for a technical audience. Here is an example. Here it goes like this. This is a report of a doctor about a patient. Subjective, uh, patient, that is regarding the patient. Patient COSOB, secondary to MVA. Now, for me, a person who is not a doctor or who is just with a patient, his patient, if he comes across this piece of information, he will not be understanding what does it mean by subjective, what is patient COSOB, and what are the objectives: 40 YO, W by M, found conscious. I can understand this. Found conscious, sitting behind bent steering wheel of a passenger car with extensive front end damage. I can understand this sentence. Head, ARWY, patent. I cannot understand this phrase. Eyes, ATTENTV. I cannot understand this abbreviation. PERL, I cannot understand this. SKIN, skin. WND, I don't know what they refer to. C, some cyanosis, I do not know this term. Now you see, this kind, this chunk of information that a doctor has compiled after examining his patient or her patient is very much particular for a doctor. A doctor can only a doctor can understand that. It is it is written in highly technical language, jargon, that I cannot understand, being, a friend of or the relative of the patient or the carer of the patient. So this kind of information is highly technical. Now we are going to have an example of semi-technical audience. Here in this slide, the semi-technical audience needs some explanation of concepts, abbreviations, and jargons. Writers use technical terms only if they are common in company or industry. So you see that in the previous slide we saw some concepts in the form of which were abbreviated and which were having their own particular jargons used by doctors. So they were good for doctors, but they are not good for semi-technical people. For semi-technical people, it must be like that. That same report for semi-technical people might be written in this manner: subjective, that is regarding the subject, that is the patient. Patient complains of shortness of breath secondary to motor vehicle accident. Right? We understand, a semi-technical person will understand that it is about a patient who has shortness of breath because he had had a motor vehicle accident. Objective, what are the objective facts about that patient? That is, he's 40 years old, white male. Y over M was meant actually by white male, found conscious, sitting behind bent steering wheel passenger car with extensive front end damage. Head, airway patent, breathing freely. Eyes, attentive. Previously, we had the abbreviation of the word attentive. Pupils, equally reactive to light. Pearl, P-E-R-L, we had that. It meant that pupils of that, the eye pupils of that patient are equally reactive to light. It means that there is no damage done to his eyes. Skin, warm and dry with some cyanosis present. That is, he might have had some injuries due to which he has cyanosis. Cyanosis is the blue, when the skin discolors into blue. So you see, this report is uh, tailored for this report is made for the semi-technical audience. So you see that both this slide and the previous slide, which was for technical communication, was very much difficult. Non-technical audience, if the same information is to be given to non-technical audience, then it might be having some other shape. The last type of audience is the general public and unknown audience, or any combination of technical, semi-technical and non-technical readers, including customers, clients and patients. Oftenly, it is preferable to utilize the most easiest language when you are addressing to, when you are speaking or when you are writing. The most easiest language is the most difficult thing to write. You must understand this, and the level of ease that you acquire in your writing with the passage of time uh, is the outcome of great writers. Great writer, like I can give you an example from my subject. Like, we have a writer known as Ernest Hemingway. You might have heard his name. He is known for his novel The Old Man and the Sea. Now that novel Old Man and the Sea, if some of you know about it, this is just 100+ pages novel, or we can call it a novella, or we can also call it a short novel. And about this novel, it is told that when it was written by Hemingway for the first time, it was more than 1,000 pages, and he kept working on that novel for a long time, and he reduced it to 100+ pages. And now that novel is thought to be a marvelous novel, that is thought to be the greatest novel produced by any writer, English writer. So you see, the 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 ease of language, the compactness of language that Ernest Hemingway might have wanted to have in his novel at that time, it came with a lot of hard work. He spent a lot of time on 1,000 typed pages to reduce them to 100+ pages. So you see, it is also painful for most of the times to, you know, cut short what we have already written. Writers go through these pangs, and you being writers and you being speakers in various situations in your life as employees of different organizations, you will have to come across some certain situations as well when you will be needing to cut short your expressions. You might be thinking that, oh, I can express this idea more detail, but you will be having constraints. However, the most preferred way of communicating is to have level of ease, or even say non-technical readers. That is the best thing. But at times, oftenly, we are in a presentation, among our peers. Everybody is engineer, and we are there, and we have to speak to them. So how they are going to take you seriously if you are not going to use the jargon, the language specific to engineers? If you will be speaking on a very simple level, they will be saying that, oh, this person is not, he is not an accomplished engineer, or this his knowledge level is poor. He speaks not in the jargon language. He does not speak in the technical language. So at times it is also a constraint, peer constraint, a peer pressure on us to communicate into a language that is highly technical and that is highly difficult and verbose. So we have to adjust ourselves according to the needs of the situation. So if the same report was written for a non-technical audience, how it might sound? It may sound like this. Your husband was involved in a car accident. He is alert, cooperate, and oriented. We are treating him for 5 broken ribs on his right side, which are each broken in several places, called flail chest. This can cause breathing difficulties and even lung damage. Now, you see all these three specimens of communication vis-a-vis a patient's condition of broken ribs and shortness of breath after an accident are completely written in different modes. So we need to understand that how first one was using a very a very specific kind of language, basing on the medical jargons, medical language, and was utilizing abbreviations, short abbreviations, or of different words or phrases, just because it was just meant for the peers. It was for the horizontal communication, that is among the people of same level. A doctor reading a doctor's report will not be having any problems, whereas the second one was for the semi-technical, and the third one, you can see that it was very easy and very short and very brief, talking about only the situation of the patient. So we must know that what our audience wants. It is more important for us, and we should devise our language accordingly. The audience, whether technical or general, might want only the highlights of the information. For example, a manager might want bottom line information such as total cost, time frame, or budget impact. Or the audience might want detailed information including all the background procedures used, visual aids, data tables, and your conclusions. Most of the times in the matters of purchasing and buying, the customers need to have a very thorough understanding of the item that they are getting it. If you are into some if you are later on, if you have to have a patent on some device that you have made as an engineer, and then you are going to sell it to some company, you will be using technical information. But if you have to give the same presentation to some shopkeeper, then you will be using a different semi-technical way of communication. And if you are to give it to the layman, common people, then your audience needs to have a detailed information including all background procedures used for that for that device that you have made as an engineer. So you see, these three levels of writing and speaking are important for us to know, and being mindful about our communication is the most important thing for us. Knowing beforehand that who are the people we are going to talk to, and um, what are the end results of our communication with them. These are the important things. What does the audience intend to do with the information? You must also know it beforehand, that after the information is passed on to your audience, how they will be dealing with that information. And you should be sure that your communication has convinced them for your desired action. That suppose if I'm an engineer and I have to present my lately acquired patent concept for a mass production to, say, a company, which is going to assemble different devices, and my patent, I need to, fix my information in such a manner that the audience, that is the company director who is going to purchase my patent and going to produce that patent device that I have designed on a mass level for his company and sell it later on. It should be such a convincingly designed presentation that that company owner is going to buy my patent device, and he's going to produce it on mass level and sell it, and which will be giving me name as an engineer and honor, right? So we must know that how we are going to present our information to our audience, and what will be the outcome for that. Uh, People read technical information for a purpose. Sometimes that purpose is simply for general interest. Other times audience want to follow a procedure, solve a problem, or make a decision. So writers must anticipate questions and provide the organization and details and this audience needs. So before presenting ourselves, or before sending our write-up, or emailing it, or sending it in a letter form, we must know this critical question, that uh, what our audience needs. Okay, and we should tailor fit our response accordingly. These are the important things for us to know. False assumptions about the audience. At times, we have wrong expectations from our audience that, and we do not work hard on our presentation. Rather, we believe that okay, my device is, since I'm an engineer and I have acquired a patent for a design that I have, for a device that I have designed, and it is very useful. So I'm going to present it to the company owner, and he's going to produce it on mass level because I am very much relevant. But I am just missing one thing, that he might be having the same kind of proposals for patent designs by some other engineers too. So my assumption that the person I'm going to talk to, or the person I'm going to present to, or the person I'm going to write to about the design that I have got a patent for, is very important, and it is going to be readily into the market. This is my false assumption, and it may lead me towards a catastrophe, towards a disastrous end, that probably the company owner is having some better proposal than than my design, and he may be buying that. So we have to understand this as well. Unfortunately, writers sometimes have false assumptions about their audience's assumption. My audience speaks and reads English. Acha. This is another way of looking at this as well. That at times we speak in a language that is befitting of, say, a very highly technical audience, and the other person doesn't know about that, anything about that. And we must understand that there are only a few people who understand English. So while writing in English or speaking in English, we have to take care of this as well. Assumption is my audience will read the complete report or manual, or he will completely read my proposal and following up. No, this is we have to be very much realistic about our assumptions, and when we are going to talk about them, we should know these things beforehand. People normally do not read long documents. Assumption: my audience will remember what I tell them. On the basis of this assumption that my audience will remember whatever I'm going to write or what I'm going to tell them is wrong, because you know that our memory span is so poor that whatever we hear, we lose 50% of it in 10 minutes. So our memory decline is the main cause, and we must remember this as well while we are talking. So we should present our material, our message in such a way, after the need analysis of our audience, that it is convincing and it is going to give us the results that we have already set for ourselves. We must achieve our target that we have set for ourselves, right? So dear students, with the help of these slides, I have tried to talk about the technical communication, that what are the things which are important for that, and what are the things that we have to keep in our mind, so that we do not have any problem, and we are able to achieve our results. So this is for the second week, and inshallah in the discussion we will have we will talk about it, and then we will move onwards. Till then, have a nice day, enjoy yourself. Allah Hafiz. Thanks for bearing with me, and I hope that we have a wonderful experience of learning together, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.